You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to have you here. Welcome. We've got an exciting show planned for you today. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. Mr. Alcini, my co-host, has the day off. We wish him well and look forward to his return. And filling in for him today is Daphne Diluce, my co-host. She is with us from London. Welcome, Daphne. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lovely to join you today.
Daphne, I'm so excited that you're here. As you know, we are partners. We are working together to help bring content that is relevant to the entire world through our platform, USA Global TV. But before we start talking about that and the wonderful guests we have backstage, I would like to just highlight you and have you share all of the wonderful things that you're doing, because you really are making a great change in this world. You're bringing that the heart and soul that you have in helping people with their branding, with their marketing, and really understanding business in general. So I'm going to spotlight you if you'd share a little more.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, I didn't expect to talk about these things. Well, let me just give you a few examples of the kinds of brands that I'm creating right now. And all of the brands that I'm working on actually make the world a better place. So we've got one brand which is nearly done. It's called Myth. It's money in the house. How to get money in the house, to keep it, to manage your finances, and actually how couples can work with their finances in a positive way. And the guy who runs that is called Daryl. He is awesome. So that really helps people a lot. So that's one. Another one is a lady who is highly spiritual, but she's actually into Feng Shui and a fantastic coach. So that brand is called Momentum. And this is all about actually how to help people start what they need to start and finally finish that thing that they've always wanted to do. But at the same time, you know, they get advice with their business and their home, so where to put things, how to put things, and all that jazz. And then another one, which the last one I'll highlight, because I am quite busy and doing lots of things, I can't help it, is actually a very serious topic, and this is called Project 9010. And there's a wonderful woman called Emma Jane Taylor in the UK, and she was a victim of child sex abuse, and she had a really horrid experience as a young woman and as a child and a young woman. So what we've done is we've created a project called 9010 because in this field, it's 90% of abusers are known by the children. Only 10% are the bad men. So there's a big drive to highlight this and actually help people to protect themselves, protect their kids, and actually to heal and thrive. So branding is something that I do, and marketing and PR. And generally, I'm also a peace ambassador. So, making the world a better place is very important to me. So that's enough for me right now.
Thank you, Daphne. And they were three wonderful examples that you've shared. And I also want to let our audience know that you are one of our expert presenters on A Better You, and presenting usually on Fridays at 10:30 Eastern Time, which is 3:30 British Summer Time. So you can go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV, and you can actually see Daphne in action and hear her incredible lessons under the playlist A Better You. So, Daphne, thank you so much for being here today. I love working with you, and I feel like we've got this simpatico thing going. So I'm looking forward to doing this interview with you for Brian Monthie, who's joining us from Albany, New York. So what do you say we bring him out?
That's a great idea.
Okay, Brian is a business leadership and agile coach with Nike. I think we're all familiar with Nike, right? Hi, Brian.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn, Daphne. So wonderful to be with you.
Oh, well, welcome. We're very happy to have you.
I got to say,
It's
Daphne,
great.
just to hear about your business and your focus is inspiring to me. So I really appreciated you sharing it. Many congrats to where you are and where you're going.
Well, thank you very much. No, it's also it's so important that every child needs a whole village to bring it up. It's too much for one parent, and it's like we all need to kind of open our eyes and to care, which we do. I believe in the goodness in people, and that's what I look for and I work on, and that's like really, really important. And the thing is, and we all are so powerful. We mustn't forget that.
Love that.
It's very true. Brian, I'm just going through the cobwebs of my brain, and I think that we met on Lunch Club. Is that correct?
Yes, and many months ago. I'm so pleased that I had met you, and just having a wonderful time with what I've gone through as personal development since we last spoken, and I'm glad to share that, catch you up or catch up, and also to hear from your perspective. I know this aspect, your business is growing, and it's so great to see. Congratulations, by the way. I hear 400 show.
This is 401. 401. This one, yes, yeah.
Happy to be 401.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to spend it with both of you. As I mentioned, we met on Lunch Club, which is lunchclub.com. Again, not a paid sponsor. But I have to say that Lunch Club really did help me grow in a lot of ways because I met really high quality people like yourself. And you spend a lot of your time giving back to other people and looking at things from different perspectives. So I'd like to start off our interview asking you to describe what exactly you do at Nike.
Yeah, I love to, because I love to talk about what I'm doing there. It's something I think to be really special. And having it a pretty big, you talk about branding, having a big name brand. So I'm in the leadership development sort of circle, not necessarily coming out of what we consider to be human resources department or IT, but something that sits kind of in between the two. And I typically work with teams and organizational leadership and culture. And what I say I'm part of creating, what I'm co-creating, or a group of us are creating at Nike, is a model for not just do it, which has been kind of the brand up to now, but also just be it, and to bring that balance of being and doing in the way we approach our work. And so it's bringing in, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but there's an organization, pretty well-known gold standard of coaching called Coactive Training Institute. So it's bringing coactivity, which more of the being aspect of working in organization, and the agility, or the active, the doing part. And so that model, along with some Ken Wilber's integral model and Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, very famous named coach as well, blends. We're developing this kind of coaching model, and then going out and working with leadership, working with teams, working with, if you're familiar with Agile, there's a role called the Scrum Master, who's kind of transitioned from a project leader to more of a servant leader within a team. Working with these different people roles to have them kind of take a look at taking on, you mentioned perspective shifting of a perspective to a more of a servant leader, more of a coactive relationship building that they can have with their teams. And it's really needed nowadays, considering that we are now seeing a lot of disruption from a pandemic, a number of other things going on, but the way we're working has changed significantly in the last year and a half, to where we're now in a hybrid model. I mean, normally we'd be in a studio doing this, right? And yet we're over video conference many miles away. So you think about that, that's leaving an impact in organizations and teams and organizations as well. And so we're coaching up within that same structure.
Thank you for sharing that. We have a comment. Randy Bernstein, keep up the good work. Thank you, Randy. I'm not sure about the second part of the message, but thank you for watching. Appreciate it. So you touched on something. I want to bring Daphne in on this as well. In between shows, I was reading the news, and I was reading about how Philadelphia, which is the next closest city to me, they're going through a lot of changes in terms of real estate, in terms of organizations making decisions. Do they want to bring people back? Do they not want to bring people back? If they do bring people back, what does that mean? What mental health services are they providing? So as a coach and somebody who's working for a huge organization that everybody pretty much knows who Nike is, what have you heard about these types of issues taking place, and what is Nike doing about it?
Oh, that's a great topic to explore. I have to say, I'm not sure I'm the right person to explore that area. I mainly work on inside an organization. But then some of the work that we're doing inside an organization, I'd imagine could have impact on how Nike and the external part of Nike, carries itself in the world. In fact, that is really a large part of it. Is I would say, in referring to kind of the model, the integral model. Most organizations, Nike included, are at this stage of, boy, we got to have some success. We have to show results. We have to keep our shareholders happy. We have to, achieve some type of outcome. And the work that I do is to meet them where they are with that kind of thinking, and also raise that level of awareness, understanding that Nike could have more impact in the world beyond these kind of like achievement results. And so to kind of look at it, there's some organizations are really kind of doing that well. I think Patagonia comes to mind, where they're just kind of considering the whole, their impact in the world as a whole. And so I'm also curious, and what you both would think, especially like a branding as well, what would Nike want to do if they were to come from that more of that echelon of thinking about beyond short-term results and having more impact in the world? And so I'm going to take that away as an inquiry. I'm not sure how they would approach a situation like Philadelphia.
Daphne, what are your thoughts on it?
Wow, wonderful, lovely, love it. Well, my thoughts are this. I really love the Nike logo because it's simple. It's so simple. And this is actually what any good branding will be. It will take something very complicated and turn it into the simplest thing. So now we've got the tick, just do it. But really now, as brands are, they really need to grow and develop, and they need to kind of always be bigger than they were, because otherwise it's not the brand promise. So for me, it's like it's about not just do it, but be it, right? Because there's so many people who have they say, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. And also in organizations and in the corporate world, there's so many people that are told what to do because they have a manager, they have a team leader, project manager, CEO, whatever the combination is. So a lot of people within corporate organizations are looking to take the lead from someone. So it's very difficult for them to run wild and then be it. But I think if from the top they started to look into actually being it, not just doing it, is the potential for that is amazing. Because I'm just thinking about, because I'm a product designer as well, so I'm just thinking, well, they can have so many different more clothing collections. because whether you're being a surfer, whether you're being a snowboarder, whether you're being a basketball player or whatever it is, you're being it, not just doing it. And now, as this pandemic is kind of shifting, it's pivoting, it's woken all of us up. It's given us a great big smack in the face, because it's like what we should be appreciating ourselves, our life, what we have, each other. And then it's also kind of really shaking us up to show us actually what brands we believe in. Yeah. So I think here that Nike's got a fantastic opportunity to come with, well, do it, but be it and beyond. There we go. How about that?
Ta-da! You heard it here first.
Yeah.
We're united on that front, I'd say, and I think you hit on something that's really quite important, Daphne, and it's down to like that individual level of that awareness and desire and purpose. You know, one of the things that here's a big bet we're making within the organization. The big bet is that people pre-pandemic were showing up about 30 to 40% of the time. What I mean by showing up, that they're focused, singularly tasked, energized, excited, inspired about working. And so the big bet now is with coming from a lens of, I do understand my life purpose. I do understand what, you know, my values and what I'm looking to kind of do in the context of my role, but also in the greater scheme of life. The being aspect of it, that I can show up, that I'm going to show up a factor of 3x of that. That I'm going to be closer to showing up 80, 90% of the time. You'll be there. You know, people have kids, family, other obligations, some of the noise chatter in our heads telling us that we're not good enough, and, you know, and to judge ourselves. That kind of stuff can be managed as well when you can kind of tap into, you know, what is your drive and how does that vision align with the vision of the corporation. And by the way, teams, organizations also have that kind of quest to get to a point where they understand life purpose and, you know, be able to execute on life purpose. So, yeah, and I'm finding that to be a really worthy cause, because it could have large impact in the world, especially when you talk about a big brand like Nike.
Exactly, but here I think it's a very serious topic for everybody, because I think it's very, very important to actually be all right with yourself first, and actually not be what I call outcome orientated. And a lot of people are outcome orientated, so they'll say, I'm only going to show up at work if I get this amount of money. I'm only going to show up at work if I get these rewards, or if I'm up for a promotion, or whatever it is. And they have so many conditions, and they're only going to do something if they get that outcome. And this is where people are making a huge mistake, because the abundance is in giving, it's in leaning in, and it's in being yourself. And every person has their own brand. Everybody does. So when you're aligned with all your values and everything inside of you, and you're working from inside out and leaning in, you can't fail. And if it's not working out for you in any corporate company, you'll find that you will find yourself somewhere else pretty quick, because it's also energetically. And also too, who likes to be around people with lovely energy? We all do. Yeah. If we are around people that only shows up if you've got a conditional, and who likes to get into conditional love? It's horrible. But it's the same at work. It's just like, you know, oh, I'm not typing that unless I get paid this. I mean, or you get people, and I've had people myself work for me, that they literally get up at 1 minute to 5. They're meant to finish at 5:30, and they're 1 minute to 5 heading out the door. Yeah, as there's other people, if they just kind of work for maybe 40 minutes longer, I would very likely to say, oh, come in an hour later tomorrow, because you were very helpful today. So I would, reward them. So my really a big tip for everybody is don't be afraid to lean in. Don't be afraid to create in your workplace. And when you've got fantastic people like Brian there who can actually listen to you, help you, and then when groups will work with him, then you actually make these big power balls. And then when you're a leader of a company, I mean, I know with our stuff, when we have any of our team are really bright sparks and they're really leaning in and they're really helpful, we notice that. We can do something with that. So this is like so important. And what you're doing, Brian, is very valuable. And I also, but I do have a question. Why 2 questions. What turns people off in the workplace and kind of what turns them on? What is the juxtaposition there? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and just quickly, I wanted to say, I don't want to make it wrong that people are kind of showing up and they're a little, they're just not inspired, lackluster, they're having an off day. That is also that's included. That's also part of the human experience. So even if you're not living fully into thriving in your life and, all that woo-woo, I say a little tongue in cheek, that's okay. Because what I work with as a coach and coachee is to really live into that, really feel what that's like, so you can make a distinction on how you want it to be. And so, your question, like, say just like bottom line it one more time for me, because I remember it's like showing up, not showing up.
Yeah, well, it's about, what actually, because the thing is, I love what you're saying here. And I think Nike and everyone that you work with are very lucky to have you, really. But what it is here, what I love what you're saying is that you have to feel it. And a lot of people don't like to feel, a lot of people like to think, not feel. And that's a big divider. Right, and it really shows up. You can tell I work very closely with people, right? And
I love your naming the thing. I think it goes kind of alludes back to your kind of question, and like what has people not showing up, or what would get them to in the corporate world. I'll just say in the context of the corporate world. So my research, I work with something called whole mind leadership. It has to do with not only do we have brain matter up here, 2 billion neurons here, we also have brain matter in our heart and our guts, about 40,000 neurons in our heart and 1 million in our gut. So research has started pointing us to that we have more knowledge than most of the time we're showing up in our heads. And my research shows, empirical research shows, about 85 to 90% of the time, leaders or people in organizations are in their heads. And I begin to question, what would it be like for them to be more in their heart and more in their gut, with showing up in the meetings and their interactions and conversations? And so what I found through kind of doing some teaching and mentoring and coaching is when we have a lot more access to ourselves, we really not only do it, we change. We have the capacity to change, but we also have the ability to have that kind of influence on others. And so, we've all been in meetings where, someone could really suck the air out of the room just by their presence. Or conversely, man, I had a really great conversation with this person. There, I walked away and I got some stuff I'm going to look at, more deeply in my life.
Exactly. Well, I just want to highlight Dr. Jacalyn here, because one of her exuberant, wonderful, beautiful talents is I think she's the best listener ever. She is a fantastic listener, right? And I think the thing is, right, if everybody had a piece of Dr. Jacalyn in them in the corporate world, there would be definitely magic happening in the room. So what do you say about that, Jacalyn? I put you on the spot there.
Thank you. It's interesting, and I think I shared this with someone, but I have coaching clients where the entire session is spent with me listening. It's just they have so much to get out and they have no one to talk to. And I think that's really needed because people, even if someone is quote unquote listening to, are they actually hearing you? Or are they thinking about, what am I going to say next? As soon as he stops talking, what am I going to say next? And that's not true listening. And I think because of that, people have their feelings are suppressed, and on a surface level and maybe even deeper, it becomes about operating from a position of fear about the money, about the benefits. If I don't do this, this, and this, and this, and so they don't express themselves at work because they're afraid, because maybe they don't have coaches on staff. Maybe their boss is like, are you coming in here to talk about so I think that has a lot to do with it. If we had people in corporate who were just listeners, that I think would make a huge difference. Thank you, Daphne.
Yes, well, you know what? Call Dr. Jacalyn. She'll fix that. I'm serious. I'm being really seriously. I'm a very genuine person. So.
You are, yes. We have to take a break, but I'd like to ask a quick question before we go to break, which is for people in our audience who are listening and watching, and they're thinking, again, Nike, it's huge, right? Everybody, I would think at some point has had some exposure to Nike or maybe had products from Nike. What do you do in the course of your day? Like, what does a typical day look like for you at Nike?
Yeah, so happy to say, and I also want to speak to your listening. You're naming a skill out of Coactive called that's useful for coaching and leadership. And there's different levels of listening. So level one is I'm all in my head. It's all about me, all my thoughts. Level two is I'm really focused on the words, the body, the tone. The vibrations in your vocal cords, what I'm seeing in front of me is level two, kind of really making that connection. And then level three is the global, kind of reading the room, the zeitgeist, the space. So where I coach leaders is to really practice in the level two and level three with relationships. Great tip for like salespeople. I mean, maybe salespeople kind of know this already, but when you're listening in level two and level three as someone trying to create business for yourself, and you're really taking the perspective of another, watch out. Look at the things that can be created. So my typical day starts out with setting an intention, something I want to do today, specifically that will help me remember this day, and one I can journal on later. Two, I'd say I'm involved, much like probably other people, but maybe 40 to 50% of my day is in meetings. And in those meetings, I'm a protagonist. I'm a curious listener at times. I'm a courageous question asker at times. I'm a challenger. So I'll put something into the space and go, it'd be really great. By the end of 2 weeks here, those problems which you saw, those things, those flaws that you have in your program, your coding, or the results of the software not coming back the way you like it, is if you were going to create a plan, or in 2 weeks, I want to see you come back as a team with a solution that's going to really knock us off our, out of our seats. And holding accountability to that. And so that's a large part of my days and meetings in that regard. And then there's the one-on-ones. And the one-on-ones is something that I encourage all leaders to have more of. And they don't necessarily need to be coaching conversations. They could just be, as we alluded to, is listening. You're listening for what's going on at the individual level. You're listening for what's happening in sort of in their environment as a team member and in the organization. And your ability to listen and your ability to really kind of empathize will serve you as a servant leader. As a new age, I say what I do is I coach next generational leadership skills as a next generational leader. you're going to want to tap into these particular elements of connection, of aliveness, of curiosity, and of like courageous, fierce action, because anything short of that is not getting it done. Sorry, it's not happening today unless you approach your life in a way that's going to really create legacy and resonance.
Great answer. Thank you very much. I've got a couple of comments, but we need to take a break and we'll be right back. We're going to hear from some of our wonderful sponsors. Stay with us here on the Business Talk Show with Daphne Diluce and Brian Monthie. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show. Alcini has the day off, and the lovely Daphne Diluce is here as my co-host, and our guest is Brian Monthie. And in our first segment, we covered a lot of ground. Oh my gosh. We covered the work that Brian's doing at Nike as a business leadership and agile coach. We also talked about how before the pandemic, people were showing up giving about 30%, and now it's 3x plus. We've also talked about branding and the fact that Nike is maybe changing their direction from just do it to just be it and beyond, possibly, and what that'll look like. And then finally, we were talking about the importance of listening, the 3 types of listening, and how people are feeling not heard and maybe just going through life unfulfilled because they have no one to talk to and no one to share their feelings with about what they're going through. How was that for a summary, guys?
Woo!
So I had something I wanted to just bring up in relation to what we just talked about, the last topic. So I worked in corporate, and I had a coach because I was getting my certification, and we were sort of bartering with each other, helping one another. So the first couple months I worked with her, if we had her here, and she's actually on our team for A Better You, Mariska, she probably would tell you that all I did was talk nonstop for the entire coaching session. And my point of bringing this up is I feel like once we get out all of that stuff that's stuck in there, maybe from years past or maybe what's going on now, then we're actually ready to listen ourselves. Then we're ready for powerful insights that come from the silence. Any thoughts on that?
It's a technique called processing. It's absolutely what's needed, and when there isn't space to have those conversations, it shows up in many other ways in organizations. You might find that that grapevine, where people talk behind people and sort of, that becomes highly active when we're unable to process what needs to be said, and it's so critical because it is. I think process coaching is one of the is the most important part of coaching, where you can. In some ways, it kind of taps into a little bit of like having therapy, but I'd say it's still focusing on the present. It's kind of what's important about something that happened in your past, what needs to be said, so that you can become more enlightened about what you want to do with that information in the present. And I've seen transformation happen, or witness transformation happen, when people are able to process the emotions, the baggage, what the values are not being, the values being stepped on, the conflict in their relationships, and when change occurs. Nike just went through some pretty big, significant change. I imagine such with other companies too, whether it be ways of interacting with customers, number of employees, or downsizing number of employees. So if you don't have a means to have that information be processed, then it will show up in really negative ways in other means, and so it creates a necessity to have people listen to their problems and explore those, explore them for the sake of what could be their next commitment, their next insight.
Thanks, Brian. That's really good information. To segue from that, I have something for Daphne as well as for you. So whether it's a personal shift or a business shift, when you look at rebranding, okay, we can rebrand ourselves, we can rebrand our business. Let's just go with Nike as an example, and anyone at Nike, we're just having a hypothetical conversation right now. So let's say that Nike changes their tagline, and people have been at the company, consumers, they know Nike for Just Do It. So there could be some fallout, right? Where people are like, whoa, wait a minute. I like Nike as this. I know Nike as this. And yet the branding needs to shift to go with where culture is going. So what are your thoughts about how to deal with the human element when there comes to this branding shift? I'm going to start with Daphne.
Oh, I love these questions. They're so delicious. For me, it's easy, because the thing is, everybody on the planet needs to raise their standards every day. And you know what? People love like VIP, platinum, gold, diamonds, whatever. So Just Do It is the core offering, the core brand. Just Be It is kind of the VIP section, okay? Because you've got to do it to be it, right? So it's an arc. Yeah, so in branding, and also like in how the thing is, branding is complex. So it's not just about having these zappy ideas. It's about the business modeling, the financial modeling, the human resources, the engineering of everything that goes behind it. And that's how I build all my brands. I engineer them. I don't just come up with pretty pictures and taglines. That's not branding. That's a part of branding, right? So that's what I would say. And not only that, I think that customers, when you have wonderful customers, they also want to be delighted. They want to be thought of. So when, say, this is hypothetical, but just say, Nike say, hi world, we're thinking of you. We know you can do it. We've seen you do it. We're going to celebrate everything that you've done. And because you've done and been and done and you're doing, then the next step for the VIPs is to be it, right? And then you can then have kind of like some amazing shoes. They could have like golf shoes, tennis shoes, all sorts of things. So they can be all these things within the sports arena. And here you've got to be very clear-minded and like on brand points and the synergy of the brand. So you're not suddenly going to make fluffy cushions. Absolutely not. You're going to keep it within brands, right? But the thing is, customers like to have the next thing. It's just like, you can go to a fabulous restaurant, your favorite restaurant, and maybe you get a chowder, or maybe you get your favorite chicken or your vegetable pizza or whatever it is that you love to eat. Then if you go to Alfonso's and then Alfonso says, I have something so special for you, because I value you and because I know you so well, you are just going to love this. Yeah. So it's the same. It's just so be it. So it's about actually really caring for people and actually feeling them. And I'd like to come back to what Brian was saying about how sometimes when people can't express and process how things can show up negatively, that this is so important in today's world. And sometimes people actually are so upset about things that they actually can't talk much. So I think bringing in the physical, because also, when I went in these corporate days where, they might go out and they might all go clay pigeon shooting or archery or swimming or a picnic or a barbecue or something where they're actually moving, then the kind of moving first can help them to talk. And what I have seen myself with listening and helping so many people, that when people start to talk, they've got no idea what they're going to say. So when they're listening to themselves, it's quite a revelation. Yeah. So it's really good. But I think one guy I was helping not so long ago, he was so full of emotion and he just had to talk, but his talking was becoming negative and toxic at home. So I suggested he put his voice recorder on in his car and that he ranted all the way home. And then when he got home, he had to listen to his own rant. And then he should take in the house what would be worthy. So there's many forms of expression, but as humans, humans need to hear stories, to tell stories. They need to sing, they need to dance, they need to move, they need tribe. And this we mustn't forget. And, and like Brian says, if you're too much in your head, it's really unhealthy. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, you're making me want to stand up and kind of do a little like shake it off right here. Just kind of we're in our heads too much. Let's just
It's true.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the research. This is a heady thing to say, but I'm going to meet people where they're at. We have some more information that we are not aware of when we do get into our bodies. It's a skill called embodiment.
Okay.
So, you're stuck most of the time, let's say, with this chatter that's going on up here. You hear about it. Go take a walk. Go jump in the pool. Go, go do something where you have never done before to put yourself in a completely new situation. I love the recommendation to listen to yourself on recording. What a perspective shift that could be. Listen for your own voice. Listen for when you get really excited versus when you're, flat, versus when you're whiny, versus when you're groaning. Like all that range is within you and waiting to be expressed. And that, like I say, it will manifest in negative ways. So proactively doing it by getting out of our comfort zones is a very useful technique I would say, for people, but that's what I also teach in my leadership.
That's excellent. So I have a question, Brian, for all the people that are listening, and we've been talking about some really fascinating things and a few abstract things as well. So how does the regular person just start thinking and doing, or even working with someone like yourself? How, where do they start?
It's a good question. I think when there's a willingness and a readiness to start, and I invite being skeptical, because that's all part of the human experience as well. Like I have the same type of, is that really, just a bunch of hogwash? And then I go kind of explore it and find out what is what. So if you have an interest in knowing more about yourself, that's a good way to start. Say like, I want to work on myself. I'm in for personal development. It tends to be like the first enclave into having a coaching relationship, which, by the way, as a coach, I have a coach. So, and all leaders, in my opinion, need a coach, basically.
I definitely agree with that. I've had at any given point 5 coaches, because each person comes from a different perspective. So what happens, Brian, and I'm not sure if this is on point with your work there at Nike, but are people assigned to work with you, or do people voluntarily get the opportunity to work with you? How does that work?
Yeah, it's all yes to those. It is, I tend to have like a domain or area where I work within the organization. Like I said, it's primarily within information technology. And because it's working with software development, working with teams around product development, that kind of thing, as an Agile coach. And then there's for one-on-one coaching relationships, it is, available to all. One of the things to keep in mind is designing up front the kind of relationship you want to have, and making sure, as coaches, we have like an understanding of ethics, and to make sure we have ethical conversations so that we hold conversations to be confidential. If I'm reporting into, let's say, my boss, I certainly am not going to want to have coaching conversations unless it's something I design with my boss, saying like, is it okay if, would you be interested in some coaching right now? But that tends to be kind of, these power relationships, tier relationships tend to be something you want to navigate with a little more tact. Otherwise, it's what can get designed between two people, human beings that want to have powerful conversations and more insight about themselves. And there's a co-creation there. So it's not just, I want to make a distinction between like I'm mentoring someone, meaning that I'm downloading all of my information to another. With coaching, it's about a relationship that gets co-created. It's a conversation that both can participate and learn from, which brings me up to like an organization I'm working with outside. I know this conversation's been primarily about Nike. I also have a philanthropic type of approach to my life as well. I'm philanthropic because it's what I read as being what's needed nowadays. I participated in cold calling in the Georgia Senate runoffs. I am very much an advocate for people of color, of underprivileged, underserved communities. Now we're rebranding, toggle branding to emergent talent, which I believe to be the case too. Emergent talent communities to have access. So another part of my life is creating access for people who couldn't, either by monetary means or unaware of what they could possibly be for them, to have access to coaching, to have access to a relationship. And through that coaching relationship with someone who is like an emergent talent ally, they can learn from each other. They can potentially kind of grow and create new business opportunities from each other. And so this is an untapped market that I'm looking into, and I'm just glad I got to share that with you all, because I think it's something that needs to be said.
Brian, thank you so much for sharing that. How can our audience support you in this effort?
Stay open-minded. Bottom line answer. It's when we are confined to our information bubbles, it's when we think that there's just a black and white answer to everything. It's when we think that there's when we hear that kind of dissonance in conversation with people normally in our day-to-day lives. Get curious, listen, and be with. When we start to create human connections again, I feel like I'll be part of having impact in the world and in part of a movement.
I have a question. You've probably worked out that people are very dear to my heart, especially children. So if you were going to write some kind of mandatory learning that every school has to have, what would you suggest that every school needs?
Nice, Daphne.
Can I just say how wonderful you both are asking powerful questions? And what I mean by that is just like, now I'm moving from, I don't have the information here to, okay, let's check in with my gut. Where is this going to go? All right. What does my heart want? What do I want to create? What's my passion or creativity around this question? And I immediately just went to my mother of a teacher, a kindergarten teacher of 30 years. And I say, what would my mom say to this question? And I've had conversations with her about it. When you're at the elemental level, I think that there's a different pedagogical approach, I guess you could say, for teaching kids sort of the basic kind of socialized skills. Yeah. As well as like STEM and reading, math, and arithmetic. Those are critical. When you get into kind of the early adolescence, adulthood, I'd say it's important to start thinking like a child again. Be playful, be curious, be open-minded. Start thinking in terms of your self-authority, your purpose, and you have lots of time to figure it out. It took me 25 years of business in various different jobs, companies, consulting to get to the point where I'm at right now, and it's still a journey. So give yourself a lot of space. Educators in that field continue to create, I would say, just spaces where some of the wildest ideas can be explored. Really kind of stretch our imagination in terms of, and be okay with whatever shows up, because, you know, a lot of times we like to immediately judge what's coming out of someone's mouth. If you could suspend that for just a nanosecond, I think something new and exciting gets created.
Oh, I love those answers. Well, you know what? I'd make that short, and I would put in the curriculum lessons on being human, because a human needs to feel. It needs to understand how its body works. It needs to understand how it works with another human. So that's what I would say. Being human. And I think that sometimes we can all forget that we are mere mortals, human, and the challenges that we can all have on us some days are completely immense. Where the feelings are incredible. But you know, so that's my little take on that. But I love what you're saying, and I've really enjoyed this really meaningful interview.
Can I ask you a question in return?
Certainly.
I'm curious about when someone, how someone comes and approaches you. You know, you mentioned like everyone having a brand.
Yeah.
What is their first thing that, like, what gets them to come to you as wanting? Like, there's a want there, but what is it that you explore with them?
Okay, when they come with me to me, or they come to me, it's how it always happens. You know, and all my life I've actually never advertised or anything like that. It goes like this: you need to talk to Daphne. Call Daphne. That means Daphne-fying. So what it is, how did my first step with anybody? It's just discovery. It's diving deep. It's feeling. It's listening. It's loving. It's leaning in. It's being present. And that you have to do first, because you see, for me, then it's resonance and authenticity. Yeah, because it's that alignment in the person, and then there has to be this resonance, and it's quite a magical process. So, does that fulfill your question?
Yeah, I wonder if I might jump in here, because I am actually working with Daphne, so I can actually address this spot on. Okay. So we came together sort of by divine fate also, which is kind of incredible. And Daphne's partner, Stephen Gillen, he and Daphne had a call with me, and there was someone else there. And anyway, we were just kind of feeling out where each other was coming from. And Daphne was really good at kind of organizing the call to make sure that everyone was heard, and whatever each of us wanted to have addressed by the end of that call was going to be addressed. And so the next call, it was the two of them and me, and I just couldn't believe how much time they were spending getting to know me. They weren't selling me anything. They weren't even talking about selling anything. They were just talking about me and what it was that I wanted to do, and what were my dreams, and what were and then there was another call, and I felt like, oh my gosh, they really want to get to know me. Like, they're actually listening to me, because it's the pandemic. I'm with my mom, you know, my whole life is different. And I just felt like, I feel like crying, like, because I thought these people are taking such a huge interest in me. I feel valued, I feel appreciated, and I feel heard. And so from there, all these other things have happened. It's just amazing. So that's being Daphne-fied and Stephen-fied, I guess it would be.
But you know, that's the thing. You know, Stephen, we're partners in life and business, and we have a company called Raw Media Creative. But it's a heart-centered business. It's about making the world a better place. It's not about me or him. It's about we. And the thing is, it's never about us. And I feel that for it's fantastic just to get out of your way and be present with another soul, you know. And you see people that, you know, I know that in every human being there's a magical code. And I just love finding out what that is. I'm a detective, really.
I love it.
You know, something I'd like to offer to our listeners, and this is just personal experience as someone who left corporate America, started their own business, which was like a hobby, right? And is going through the various growth patterns, is that when you're trying to bring value to someone, don't lead off with, well, I charge $10,000 and for that you can get this, this, this. I can't tell you different dollar signs, but how many times people lead with that. It's not even like emails that you get that are all about them. And so I think if everybody were to turn inside, like you guys were mentioning, and be a human being, be the person first, and get to know somebody, because why does somebody want to work with you if you don't even take the time to get to know them? Am I off on that?
No, you're absolutely right. And you know what? It's very, very important, because not everybody is for everybody. It's not always a match. And this resonance and this synergy, and I just adore what Brian was saying, because we do have neurons in our minds and in our hearts and in our guts. And all of these places are talking to us. So we must be able to feel and get to so we can kind of think, well, that feels good. I really enjoyed talking to him or her, or that makes sense, or, there's some resonance there, because then you can do wonderful things. And just like Brian was saying, when you have that conversation and you actually stop judging, and then when I say, well, stop working like conditions, these are my conditions, $10,000, who cares, right? What has that got to do with it? And this is where we have so much abundance all around us, but if we're too busy running for the money or running for outcomes or what we think in our head, we miss out on a fortune. And also there's nothing like, and I really noticed today that Dr. Jacalyn lost temporarily one of her earrings, and she was so upset about it because one of her dear friends had made it, and then she found it. And then I just love that story, because that's the thing. It's about what really matters, and we matter. And, and this connectivity we have, that matters. And when you work with that, it's an incredible thing that you can achieve. And the thing is, it's like, I think selling is an interesting thing, but I think it's about showing people value. And if they say, well, so Daphne, what value can you give me? And I say, well, if you want me to work from 6 in the morning to midnight for the next 6 months, you're going to have to pay me, because I'll be hungry otherwise. But I make it kind of just sensible, but leading with sales. So I really love it that Dr. Jacalyn, you picked that up, because that's another thing. It's just like people love to buy things that have a value. They don't have a problem with that.
You're speaking to something that I've been kind of noodling on, which is to move my relationships from transactional to transformational.
Exactly. I love it. You get 1 million gold stars for that one. No, that's wonderful. And that is it.
So, Brian, do you have a plan in place for this?
It's a working plan. I'm being agile about it. It's iterations, and they improve on each other. So yeah, I'm in all aspects of my life, I'm moving from where I'd say is what's going to bring me that dollar for that moment right there, to if I look back at my life, what would have me feeling fulfilled? And yeah, I guess I could look at it as this pandemic, as awful as it was, it also has some gifts, and the gifts were, for me, the focus on the meaningful moments in my life. So yeah, the plan is in the works, and the plan continues to be executed.
Well, it's a very powerful plan, and you know what? You've got such, so both Jacalyn and I, we know a lot of people, a lot of coaches, a lot of things, but today for me, you're outstanding. because you're very clear-minded, but you're bringing in a lot of innovation with your ideas and how you're thinking. And also, you've got such a lovely way with your ability that people would feel very safe with you very quickly. So you're not going to have them talking and whining for months. You're going to take them to action. Yeah. So being action orientated, I like that, because it's in the doing where the change comes. Right? You've got to do something, not just think about it. What do you think?
Yeah, the last part of the sort of the coaching arc.
Yeah.
Typically ends with, okay, how are you going to make this the great discovery, great conversation, exploration? How are we going to make this real? Like,
exactly right. What's that action plan look like? Yeah. I remember, Brian, when we met, I was very impressed with you, and I just thought, as Daphne mentioned, we know a lot of coaches. I think on LinkedIn there's over 6 million coaches. Mr. Alcini told me that. And if you think about it,
and we don't have enough of them. Sorry.
Right. But I really see you in the top echelon of coaches. So,
wow.
I think you're very heart centric as well, and that's really important.
Very. And also, we've got a wonderful vision. Also, you know what? Energy comes into this as well, because people forget that we are so much to do with energy. And then, some people go, oh, energy, woo, and be skeptical. But, like, you have a mobile phone, right? What you have to do, you have to charge it so it's energized. For us, we radiate, we broadcast all the time. We're full of energy. So important. And also, we gravitate to people who have kind of got like a lovely energy or something that we can kind of be inspired by, that we can be uplifted. Yeah. And in society, you see many people that can uplift many, and you have that ability, and that's very important, especially right now.
I'm very much in my heart with you both. I feel acknowledged. I feel seen. Thank you for including me in this today. Yeah. So, Jacalyn, I got to put something out there for you, because yes, you are a listener, and I'm very curious about you. What's next in your life? What's going to really light you up?
Well, I'm on this. Thank you for asking. I'm on this amazing journey now with Daphne and Stephen and our team of people, and I just want our platform to continue to grow and be aligned with other platforms so that we can get people's stories shared across the world. So we can help people realize that whatever it is you're going through, whatever you went through, that you're not alone. And it's not a cliche. It's that you share your story to help other people who aren't where you are or where we are. And I think that would really light my heart up, to know that we're changing people's lives all across the world. And we're doing it today, but I want to do it exponentially everywhere in the world. That we even, it's funny, this whole the Clubhouse app. Are you familiar with Clubhouse?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So one of our friends and co-hosts, Deborah Wooten, she's involved with this group that's the 5 to 9 Creative Club. And you can perform, you can audition in these contests that they have, as long as you have a phone. You could be on a mountaintop somewhere. My earring just fell. As long as you have a phone, you can participate, and you have the opportunity of being seen and heard, that your life can change just like that. So that's what I see for this platform, is that we keep bringing across programming that helps change people's lives.
I want that for you. I'm going to put that into the, out into the ethos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for asking. Daphne, how about you?
Me? What, for my life?
Yes.
Goodness. You know what? That's so nice to be asked a question, because I'm always busy helping everyone. Oh, hey, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. You know what? I think it's several things. I have had like a life full of adversity and huge difficulties that I've come from. I think I've kind of been flattened to nothing and stood up again about 10 times in my life, which has been severe. And I'm just so happy that I still have a smile on my face and a sense of humor. And it's been a great learning. But I'm actually looking forward to be Daphne. Okay? So I'm looking, and what does that look like? She's dancing, she's singing, she's creating, she's creating brands, and she's helping people. She's making movies, she's making TV programs, she's directing and doing wonderful things with anything that broadcasts something amazing. And her kids are proud of her already, but what I want is I want my children to see me as Daphne, not as mum. Yeah, so that would make me like, that would be just awesome. You know what? I just kind of and I also got like a book and a whole thing, and one thing that I really want to do is I've got this thing that I'm doing. I'm going to open something that's called a Love Foundation, because my job is to teach people what love is. So if I can have a crack at any of that in any capacity, I'm really happy. I'm very grateful for what I have and who I am, and we'll see what comes. But those are my secrets, which aren't secrets anymore. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for asking me the question so I could ask Daphne. That is beautiful. Now it's out there. It's out there in the world. So it's going to happen.
Those energy things are bing, bing, bing.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And I love.
I have to say, I think it. Okay.
No, I love how people show up as well. When we have these kind of like, we have these visions that are coming out of our kind of mind, body, heart, and soul. And when we speak them and when we use intention with them, it's amazing who shows up. Then look at this beautiful conversation today. And that's amazing. Everybody can be a part of this. It's not just our conversation, it's for everybody.
It's very true. And I think it's interesting because this happens when you have a really great guest, somebody who has a lot to share, who's very authentic, and also a co-host who's so loving and insightful, asks great questions, that we go way past the time. And that's part of what I like about having this platform, because if we were on some structured station, right, you get cut off. Like whenever that show's supposed to stop 5 minutes before, you are cut off. And here we have the flexibility to continue on with a guest like you, Brian, who just brings so much great value.
You can't rush authenticity. You can't try to cram it in.
Exactly.
I love this format. I love the circle that we created right here, and I'm going to put something out there too. It's whatever is needed to really blow this up, to really create what you want. Consider me an ally.
Wow.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. I can think of so many things already.
So can I. So can I.
And I encourage us. Let's continue to dream big.
Oh, definitely, and take action.
Action. Yep.
Take action
and do it.
And I do have to share, and Brian, you're not aware of this, but on the break, Daphne and I were sending little WhatsApp back and forth about an idea that we had for you, because I think we definitely want to continue this journey with you and really feel that you have a lot to give and this world needs to learn from you. And I'm glad that you're here today to share a little, right? We can't have all of your insights and knowledge, but hopefully you'll continue to share with us and our audience.
Actually, that's all it. I'm all tapped out. So what you see is what you know. I'm just kidding. No, I appreciate what the space and really coming on here and feeling seen. I love the idea of doing that and having that for others. And I also share in your belief that each of us when we really tap into the things that make us unique, we all have a story that needs to be told. And so I'm going to quote 50 Cent, because he was asked recently in an interview with a couple other rappers, is like, hey, you notice how there's a bunch of rappers going out there and there's new rappers? And he's like, well, yeah, when I think he said when cats decide they want to be truly themselves, you're going to see they come out with their, uniqueness. And that's good. It's good for the world.
Yeah, and also I'd like to add to that, with what we were talking about earlier, that it's a good example from going to just do it to be it, right? Mm-hmm. It's all there. Yeah. Well, what a wonderful show. What a fantastic show. You did it again, Dr. Jacalyn.
It's not me. I am just here producing the show. So, Brian.
Oh, come on. I think a little credit needs to be, acknowledged right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's super wonderful. From start to finish, I felt like a really welcome guest. And, my love to you both is I'm feeling really, really, really connected to you. And so thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Before you leave, though, how can people reach out to you, and who should reach out to you?
Sure. How to reach out to me. I'm available by email. It's my first name, last name at Gmail. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So for those who want to get a little more background information about me, you can go onto LinkedIn and search me by name. And the who, I think it's those that want new, better, different for themselves and want to have a conversation to at least just get that started, see if there's a good match, good fit, good chemistry. And I'm also connected to a number of other different coaches. So, I'm not the only one, and there could be a good coach to connect you with.
Thank you very much, Brian. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will definitely, Daphne and I will be in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye, all.
Thank you. See you again soon. Bye.
See you. Bye now.
Just a great guy, wealth of information, authentic and transparent and inspirational.
Absolutely. And also too, so calm. And what another thing that was so wonderful about him is that you could see his emotion, and you could see he was moved by our questions or even challenged at times. And that was lovely, because that's a good example of being human. And when we all can be ourselves, just more human, life is going to get a whole lot better.
I agree with you. I think one of the things we try to bring to our audience with this platform, people will book months in advance, and then they'll reach out and say, do you have a script? What are we talking about? What are the questions you're going to ask? No, there's no questions in advance, because you have to listen. If we had a bunch of questions written down for Brian, we'd be so like, oh, wait, we're on number 4. He's still on number 2. And what time is it? And who cares, right? We just go with the flow, listen to hear where the conversation goes. And I encourage people to do that in your life. Show up, listening, and being fully present. Maybe you have something specific that you need to get addressed, but follow where the conversation goes, and you probably get the answer that you need.
Exactly. And I think another thing is sometimes it's very nice just to be quiet, and often the person in the room that is the quietest one holds the most power. It's really interesting. And I think listening is something that's so nice, because when you start to listen and then you start to feel, you're an incredible human being. You're going to start finding out so much more than perhaps if you were talking a lot. But we've done a lot of talking, as we always do, which we love, and we just can't help it. And I would just like to say thank you to everyone out there who is listening to us. And please, if you've taken any inspiration from anything that any of us said today, go and take it and use it, blow it up, be inspired, and do it, and be it.
And be it, and beyond.
Exactly.
Daphne, thank you so much for being here today. I've had so much fun with you as always. And I think in addition to having fun, we learn from each other. We learn from Brian, and that's what it's all about. That's my dream, is that we help one person, just one person, take something away, that it's all worth it. Especially since you don't have to just watch live. You can watch on the replay over on our YouTube channel, USA Global TV. Brian can watch it there as well. Daphne, what would you like to leave our audience with today? What Daphneism can you share?
Oh, a Daphneism. Well, I think that I think the audience is just like, I just want to keep it really simple. Just do it and be it. That's all. And if you don't know what to do and what to be, perhaps you should email us. But anyway, jokes aside, we all have that little voice inside us that talks to us about our dreams, our desires, our hopes, our wishes. And we all carry pain, and we all carry confusion at times. So I would just say, listen to yourself and just make sure that you can sing every day, dance every day, and love the people that you're with, and be happy and just be. And well, just do it and be it. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, Jacalyn.
I love that. I do. And I also want to mention something that Brian said earlier about being playful and being curious. And I think that that's something for me that's really come to visibility during the pandemic, is you get so just tunnel vision, do this, do that, do this. You're not having fun, you're not enjoying yourself, and you're not curious about what else is out there. So I've really taken on the curious glasses, and I'm looking at all kinds of opportunities about where things can go and how we can help people. And I just encourage other people to do that too, because it feels really good to help other people.
Exactly. And it can be really simple things. It can be just like, if you make the best chicken in town, make chicken or make the cake and invite some people around. I lived in Germany for a long time, and one of the cultural things that they used to do that I absolutely love, they used to have something that they call coffee and cake. So, on Sundays at 2:00, you go to your friend's house, you take a posy of flowers. They would make beautiful cakes and coffee, and you would just sit around and just be and talk. It's absolutely beautiful. So all of us can do that. Bake a cake, invite your friends around, or make a meal, or take something to somebody, or do something just simple. And it all starts from simplicity.
It's very beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How can people reach you, Daphne? I mean, we are streaming your banner, but again, remember, people are on the radio and they can't read it. So how can people reach out? And just like I asked Brian, who should be reaching out?
Well, people can reach out. It's my name, is my email, which is Daphne, DAPHNE, at DAPHNE, and then Diluce, DILUCE.com. I've got a very unusual name. I do believe there's only one of me on the planet. So if you Google me, it's easy. And the type of people that should reach out are people that, perhaps they have a project that they'd like me to look at. Perhaps there's something that I've said, something that they feel, maybe they need a friend. I don't know. You will know. I do my best. I always answer, if I get emails or cards or anything, I do reply. So take it from me.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to say one more thing before you leave. Yesterday, we launched a newsletter, brand new newsletter, the Global Post, and we would love to have you on our email list, where we provide news from around the world, as well as some exciting things that are going on this platform. So if you are interested, we'd love to have you. I will try to find the banner with the email address. But for right now, you can go to drjacalyn.com. and you can sign up for the newsletter there. And we'd love to have you join us.
Yeah, and also this, it's more than a newsletter. It's going to be like, you don't want to miss it. And it's so beautiful. Every week, you're going to just love love it all. But there's news, there's entertainment, there's things that are coming up, and there's lots of surprises coming. So it's a quality sign up. Yeah, so you're not signing up, and we're not going to spam you. We're going to entertain you and delight you. That has to be said.
Yes, I'm glad you added that. Thank you. And it is absolutely visually beautiful to look at as well, with very relevant content. So I had a newsletter before that was very long. It was really bad. I did it myself. It was way too much information. I didn't want to leave anybody out, so I put every link from everywhere in the possible world. It took me 2 days to do the thing. I was exhausted afterwards, and I don't think it brought any value to anyone. So I am so glad that we've moved over to new professional formatting. Thank you, Daphne.
Well, I think you're being a bit hard on yourself, and that's one of your lovely gifts. You're so inclusive. And you're a wonderful human being. And thank you for allowing me to co-host. And, Al, I hope you had a great day off, and we'll see you next time, Al.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daphne. We're going to wrap up because we've got another show coming up in half an hour. It's A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I want to talk to Brian about being on our team. But as you know, this is not an interview platform. It is a presentation platform. And Daphne, I'm just going to put you on the spot quickly. What is the value that you as a presenter feel that resonates with you and your business as a presenter, not as someone in the audience, but what do you get out of it presenting on A Better You?
Oh, that's another beautiful question. Well, what I get out of it, actually, I'm outed. So instead of being like incredibly busy, like behind the screen and like crazy clicking and tapping and talking and all the things that I do, I actually get to come out of all that, and I have an opportunity to actually express what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, and actually to share a lot of value that will help people. That feels like really good, and I love the questions, and even if they're incredibly abstract or off the wall or just interesting, it's so wonderful because you grow through that. And for me personally, it's about me giving to you guys, right? But what I get is I just adore it because I get to it's expansion. I get to talk to you. I get to listen. It's a good relationship. I'm loving it.
Thank you. And just to share with our audience what we're talking about, we have a platform called A Better You, and we have 6 shows a week. So you have the opportunity to sign up for one of the shows. We can have 2 people per show. And what happens is myself and the other person who's not the first presenter, for example, we are listening, taking notes. And when, let's say, Daphne's the first presenter, when Daphne's finished, we're going to interact with her and share with her what we learned about her lesson and her message. And the cool kind of thing is that we're taking it 2 levels further. So the first is you come on and you present. The second is we have the presentation edited out of the show, and then a custom intro, custom outro. We ask our content creators to put together a 5-question quiz, and then we have you, the content creator, take the edited version of your show plus the 5-question quiz and put it up on our online learning platform where it becomes available for sale and you can earn passive income. And in the meantime, while people are on this platform that's been up for years, not with our content, but it's a proven, tried platform that major corporations are using, there's gamification. So you can play games while you're on there. And why is that important? Because if you're a content creator, you want the consumer to stay on the platform as long as possible. And if you are a consumer, you want to be entertained, educated, and you want to have a place that you come back over and over again. So people can get certified by taking your content and passing the quiz. That's the second part. The third part is we're planning this lovely in-person event for October 2022. And we're going to change the name, but right now it's Journey to a Better You. And we are going to have experts from around the world. So you can show up as an expert yourself, a keynote speaker. We're going to have a trade show. And you could show up as a student, as a learner. So there's a lot of information on our website. You can go to abetteryou.tv and find out all this information. Did I miss anything, Daphne?
Yeah, well, you didn't miss anything, but what I would just add to that is actually when you sign up for this, more than the newsletter, we're going to keep you informed about all the wonderful things to come, because there are many. And this platform and our drive is actually to create a platform where leaders lead, where the talented can be seen and shine, and where people's stories can be told. And so very, what we want is we want you to be involved, because we have fun being up here talking and having fun, but it's about you. So we encourage you to lean in and join us.
And joining us today from Scotland is Fraser. Hi, Fraser. Nice to have you. He says, he writes, "Hi, Daphne. Dr. J, the machine of interviewing." Thank you. And Dr. Jacalyn, hope you are well. Thank you, Fraser. He's a great guy. I met him over on Clubhouse also. Well, my dear, we will have to say goodbye now, and I will let you get back to, it's your evening there, right?
Yes, evening. Yeah.
It's
I think
evening
all
there.
the bears in the house are hungry. Well, look, thanks for having me, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Daphne. Bye-bye. Wow, it's been quite a day already. As I mentioned earlier, we had our 400th show right before this. This is 401. We are on a journey with Stephen and Daphne. We are getting all new branding. We've expanded from Dr. Jacalyn LLC to USA Global TV LLC. So now we have the two entities, each stand for different things. And we are excited about the launch of our online learning platform, A Better You. So if you are interested in joining our team, we'd love to have you. We see all kinds of opportunities for people. As Daphne mentioned, we're going to be providing this in our weekly newsletter, the Global Post. And we want it to be very inclusive. We appreciate your support. We know everybody has a message to deliver, and we're glad that you're doing it here on our platform. So thank you again. Brian, I will be in touch with you. I wish everybody a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are. And please join us in less than 30 minutes for A Better You. You can see our format there. And we have the Reverend Michael Harder who will be presenting then. See you later. Bye.